In this video, I'm going to stress more on speaking. We are all aware your speaking could be a few days before your main exam or after your main exam. And we are talking about maximum 15 minutes of your time for speaking, where we have 3 sections. This is purely checking your natural ability in conversing in English when you are in a foreign country. I as a teacher want you to be your normal self, be it in class or be it at home. Encourage your friends, encourage yourself to keep speaking in English, because you are going to go for the exam and you are only going to be speaking and no one else. You don't have to be fantastic. Be your normal self, use the words that you know, but show the naturalness in you, because expressions is something which is very important. I'm quite sure you are aware about that. If you love something, you're going to make a very happy face and your facial expression is going to show it that yes, I do like this. For example, if your mother cooks a fantastic meal and you really enjoyed it, I think you are going to be with a higher pitch of voice telling your mom how wonderful the food was and she's such a great cook and how thoroughly you enjoyed eating that food. But don't be very stern and very strict in saying, the food was fantastic. Show that emotion, show the empathy whenever it is required. Exclaim out your words whenever showing excitement. Look at your intonation. Keep note of all these small things which many of us don't remember or we just forget. Your pitch, your tone. If you're happy, it definitely will be a bit higher. If you're talking about something sad, your tone has to be a little bit softer compared to the normal conversation. Now, when you walk in, please remember this. The examiner is a human being and you have to treat the examiner as a human being. Show the confidence. Examiner will introduce themselves by just saying name. They're not going to say, my name is Mr. or my name is Sir. You may address me as Sir. Very simple. My name is Tom. You can reply back. If you don't want to say Tom, you can say, good morning. And can you tell me where you're from? Now, this is just an introduction, but I would rather you create an impression with the examiner that you are a natural speaker and try and use a contraction when you give an answer. I'm from. Instead of saying I am from. That is telling the examiner from the very beginning that, okay, now this is a candidate that has already used a contraction in the very first sentence of an answer. I'm from Kottayam, which is a small town situated in the state of Kerala, and it's a beautiful place to live in. Plenty of greeneries, a lot of hills. That's about it. Can I see your identification, please? Be polite. Yes, sure, you may. Now, when the first part starts, the examiner is going to clearly lead you on to questions by saying, in this first part of the speaking, I'm going to ask you a few questions about yourself. Let's talk about your home. Examiner will ask you, can you describe your home to me? Now, don't say, yes, I live in a home. It has 3 rooms, a toilet, a kitchen. We don't want 3 to 4 words. Put it into 2 to 3 sentences. I live in a 3-bedroom apartment. Each bedroom has an attached toilet. There is a drawing room, and the drawing room is combined with our dining room with a beautiful big kitchen. That sounds very nice, and don't rush yourself because it's all about time. Don't stammer, don't slur, don't wait because that could be hesitation. So don't rush with it because the examiner doesn't want you to rush. Then, can you tell me what is the favorite part of your house or which is your favorite room? You can say whatever you want. You can say the favorite room is my bedroom, because the bedroom is the place where I am most of the time, and even if my friends come over to visit me, they are also spending time with me in the bedroom, because firstly, the bedroom is air conditioned. My father had installed a 59-inch LED TV. I have my music system and I also have my laptop over there. So basically, I do everything in this room of mine. Another question could be, when you stand at the window of your house, what do you see? Now, this is something which you have got to make up. You just cannot tell the examiner, I just can see another building. Be a little bit innovative. Talk about something which the examiner is least expecting. You can say, I see the wonderful lake. And in the evening, most of the grandparents or parents take their young children, maybe cycling around it because they've got a cycling track. And there's a lot of benches over there where the young and the old go and sit and enjoy the clean environment, the beautiful nature that is there with the birds chirping. So be and say something totally different, but just don't try and say something which an examiner is actually wanting. Because I've noticed with the students in Kerala, don't be narrow-minded. Explore even in your practice. Say things, let the teacher correct you, let the teacher guide you, show your expressions. Don't let the teacher teach you to speak, but you speak and the teacher is over there to guide you. One important thing is, most of us don't realize that we need to use discourse markers. And discourse markers are nothing but expressions. Instead of saying yes, you could say, of course, definitely, actually, to be honest. Now, these are the words which will help you for your lexical resource, which is the vocabulary. And it will show the examiner that you are very confident with using discourse markers, showing expressions. Another thing is pronunciation. We need to make the other person understand what we have just now said. You don't have to be absolutely correct, but as much as possible, stress on the alphabet, stress on the certain syllables. Like, for example, me, I don't say often, I would say often. Because if I would get a cue card topic, describe a visit to an orphanage, I would not say, I enjoy visiting the orphans very often. So that doesn't sound, although often pronunciation is correct. In IELTS, try and stick to often, so that you are being very precise in telling the examiner what you are talking about. Part 1, be natural, give answers, 2 sentences, 3 sentences, fantastic. Moving on to cue card. This is the time where you just have 1 minute to prepare. I would suggest you follow the PPF method, that is, talk about the past, talk about the present, and talk about the future. Now, when we talk about the future, we always think about a word will. Try and have synonyms to talk, but don't say I will, I will, I will. It sounds very monotonous. Try and get synonyms. I would, instead of even saying I would. I'd, that breaks it into a contraction. I'd really like to be studying in Canada because the quality of education offered there is fantastic. Many of my friends are already studying there, some of whom have already passed out. A few have returned back to India to work. A few have remained back over there to work and get some more experience. So utilize your 1 minute in looking at the first 3 questions, because basically a 4th question is a sort of conclusion and you are not going to be aware about how 2 minutes is going to pass. So prepare yourself. Don't go directly to the topic. Try and make it into a circle going slowly. But by the time your 2 minutes comes, that circle should have been stopped or closed. Because I don't want you to take a second circle, because the moment you take a second circle, you are bound to be repeating yourself. So pick on the first 3 points, stress more, 20 seconds, 30 seconds each point, stress more on maybe point number 3. If you feel that you have been able to understand what is 2 minutes, then maybe you can attempt the 4th question, that is basically a conclusion. Now part 3, many students tell me, let's say they ask me 1 or 2 questions. Now if the examiner finds the conversation that they've had with you is very interesting and you have already taken your band score up to 7+, the examiner will be making it a little bit more difficult by asking you a lot of opinion questions. Why? Prediction questions of the future. Don't worry, it is only to see whether you can go up to that elusive 9 band, which is absolutely possible. A number of our students have already achieved that. A few questions does not mean a bad score, but maybe you had some limitations in your speaking. So if it's easy, if it's difficult, doesn't matter. Enjoy your speaking, be very natural.